And actually, I heard the German version of Zarya, and I thought it was incredible. She had the same color of my voice and everything. It was like, oh my God, I have a German double.
The Omnic Weekly.
Welcome everyone, it is Sunday, April 28th, and this is episode 174 of the Omnic Weekly. I'm Frozen and I'm joined by Hana and Dolya, the voice actress for Zarya. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good, yeah, not too bad.
Good.
The weather been treating you nicely?
England.
It's kind of cloudy
you seem
here.
sleepy.
A bit, yeah. It's a bit tired. I mean, we had like a lot of sun yesterday here, but like now it's kind of cloudy today. It's been a bit cooler now.
You have sun? No, we don't have sun in the UK. No.
Sun not allowed. Not allowed sun.
Wind
And in Siberia
and
when the sun.
So, like, as you guys saw, it's a bit different today from what we usually have here because someone's missing. That's usually always here. And we have actually two special guests. Because Hana is blessing us today again.
Yeah.
And we have another very amazing guest. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself or...
Hi, I'm Dolya and the voice of Zarya.
Yeah.
Yay.
To play Overwatch, you have to know Zarya.
Yeah, you do. I mean, she's quite sticking out as one of the tanks. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Not just
like,
because she's a tank. I think her overall looks and her hair and her
and
style.
her flaming personality.
Yeah.
And my voice.
That is very true. I mean, relating to that, I saw on Twitter you made a little video about asking for experiences and maybe stories behind characters such as Zarya for something you're working on right now.
Yes, I've been actually working on it for quite some time. And it's interesting because I'm not really a gamer, but I fell into that world with Zarya. Although I've done other games before as well, but what struck me with Zarya especially was how much she can mean to some people. So slowly I've been getting more and more embroiled, and now I'm working on a documentary on the impact of characters such as Zarya on gamers, because I've been fascinated and inspired by some of the stories I have heard, and I'm really interested in exploring this further. So please send it to me. And I, as I said in that video, I do read or watch every single comment, video, and so on. And I've been also filming over the last few years. I have several very interesting protagonists. So yes, it's been a very exciting journey. And I guess why female? Yeah, that's a whole other area as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, true. I mean, it's quite interesting what impact certain characters and how certain characters are portrayed can have on people. I mean, kind of like the most recent example of that we have is the new hero in Overwatch, which is the first non-binary representation we have. And I mean, I'm super happy for like even some of my friends who identify as non-binary that they finally have something to represent themselves in a video game. And I don't think we really notice how much of an impact and how important it is to have that kind of representation. Because I mean, it doesn't really change anything of the core gameplay, but having someone to identify yourself with, or that you're like, I think I see myself in that character, especially when you grow up or even right now later, I think that's very, very important.
Well, it is, and what strikes me with Zarya's conventions or Comic Cons, I've had a number of women coming up to me and saying, "Finally, there is a woman who is not this sexy flying cat or or kind of a sexualized image, or typical sexualized image of a woman," and so they were very happy that there is a sort of a different. Suddenly, they felt represented, even if they don't look like Zarya. But because in some ways she stood for difference, and also she kind of didn't apologize for anything, because I think often when we are kind of different, we also go, "Oh, I'm sorry, this or that." I'm not talking about just physical representation. And I think, also because being an actor, for me, this notion of representation and character and stereotypes it's very close to heart and very important. So I was very grateful to get to play her, because I don't think I would get to play her on screen or television unless I build some muscles. I've been working on it.
A little gym action. I mean, like, talking about that, how did you actually get the role for Zarya?
So, I'm a classically trained actor, and I have an agent, and I go to auditions. So this was just a sort of an audition, and I read Zarya's biography, and at the time, I didn't know how big the game was going to be. So I read her biography, and I got the part, and I think what year it was, because oh my God, it's been ages. It came out in 2016, Overwatch.
Yeah.
So I think I probably started recording in 2015. So, and then I just kept on getting called, being called more and more for more lines and more things. And gradually, I think she was sort of developing over time. And I didn't see her image to start off. I didn't see how she looked. I only had lines to play off, and we were recording in London, and there is a team in LA that always listens to what you say, and then there is a team in London, and that's how kind of Zarya was created or developed. Yeah.
So you didn't really have an image. They told you how to say stuff, because I mean she has very strong lines, and she's very not brute character but opinionated character, and she's not apologizing for anything if she thinks it's right. And it's kind of crazy that you haven't seen her before, but you were able to just deliver the lines to match her so perfectly. It's crazy.
I think the biography was very, very telling of some of the characteristics, because I think what they wanted to achieve is, of course, there is a strong woman that lifts weights and builds her muscles to defend her people, and it's not only about herself, but that together we are strong. So all those things were in the biography, and then there was also the kind of elements of her past, almost coming from the middle of nowhere in Siberia, the village is destroyed, and she built up to come to the Olympics. So obviously there is somebody that has a focus, that fights for justice, that is determined, that is strong. All these things are there. So regardless of the physicality, I think. Maybe it's interesting, because maybe if I would have seen her to start off, maybe something else would have developed.
I guess because you were given a personality first rather than the looks.
Rather than how she looks, So it's but hopefully the two merge together.
I mean, it just fits perfectly. And what did you feel like? I mean, you saw the character after a while, of course. Did you have something else in mind when you read her biography, how she may look like? Or because I mean, when we listen or hear about someone, about their hardships or what they've gone through, and maybe their goals in life, I think sometimes it paints a little picture how we may see them in front of our inner eye. And did you have something like that? And how closely did it match to what she actually ended up looking like?
It was so, I don't remember. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't remember the exact moment when I sort of saw her. Maybe different things were revealed to me over the time, but but I knew she's a strong woman, and you know, obviously, you know, if she's like a weightlifting champion, and so and I, you know, I would lower my voice for Zarya. You know, she has to be very centered, very grounded. But I think that there were lovely surprises with, like, you know, the pink hair and the pink nail polish, which were not the typical, oh my God, I just lifted weight, you know. And these are lovely touches, I think, which make her more layered, because I think none of us are white or black, or, you know, there's these distinctions between one side or another side. It's not... I think we are layered, aren't we? It's very difficult to say you're just one thing, you know? And so I kind of I like that, yeah.
Yeah, that they did not lean into this, like, butch, lesbian, strong stereotype that despises anything feminine. Because, I mean, she still has her feminine side to it. She like, loves pink. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a headcanon, but I can imagine she loves nail polish. And like she paints her nails with the other girls from Overwatch. That would be adorable.
You know, she's got pink nail polish.
Yeah, and like things like that. But that doesn't, like, being strong or being like a weightlifter doesn't make her any less feminine, which is like kind of nice, because they avoided these stereotypes from two different sides. They didn't lean into like the sexy, feminine, weirdly muscular, but also not too muscular that wouldn't fit woman. But also not the complete opposite of I hate anything feminine, because frankly that would also have been a stereotype.
Yeah, but that's what I think. I think, you know, human beings are much more complex than just one or the other, isn't it? And I think what is interesting about Zarya, although, you know, I know, you know, some people would love for her sexuality to be revealed, is that precisely it is not, you know? I don't know. What do you think about it?
It's so, like, Hannah, do you have any thoughts on that matter?
I mean, obviously, like, the default is to be like, oh, yeah, she's got short hair and she's, like, masculine. She must be a lesbian. And I really hope she's not, just to try and counter that. But if she is, then that's great too, because it's still representation of some form. Like, I would be curious to know, and obviously it is an opportunity for more representation, and I am all about that. But as to, like, how she may be and who she may like, I'm not too sure, honestly, because I don't think we've seen any hints either way, like in any of her voice lines or lore or anything.
I think we need more Zarya lore regarding
lore.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, regarding what I would want to see, I mean, I love my lesbians, I can't deny that, but maybe seeing Zarya with a feminine husband would be quite intriguing, to like have this opposite of like the weightlifting wife fighting for justice and glory, and her husband staying at home tending to the home. I think like that kind of dynamic would be adorable.
That would be
little Zarya babies.
Exactly. Like,
and he's like, oh, I can't reach the top shelf. Can you grab it for me, please?
Yeah. Like, her
shopping bag is so heavy. Zarya, my love.
Like him, like having like jars to open, and he could open them himself. But like, oh, my wife, please open this jar for me. I can't open this, just because he wants to see.
And like, seeing him be completely unashamed as well, because it's not just like women that get judged. There is like toxic masculinity is a really horrible thing as well. So seeing a male character that is very comfortable not being the strongest person in the room and being completely comfortable with having a woman be stronger than him and loving her for who she is and being okay in himself would be really nice.
Which is important,
Yeah, very. I mean...
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Go.
You can go, it's fine.
No, we're going. Yeah, I could go on the. Imagine all sorts
Go
of
a little
roles
rant.
this man could
That's
have.
the whole point of this podcast. We talk about Overwatch and then we end on cats or politics or the weather. So,
I mean, cats and not politics, but cats are very important. No,
Cats
but
are
I mean,
important, yeah.
like,
No,
I
but
want
Zarya's husband, if she has a husband,
it would be beautiful.
definitely be a feminist.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I don't know why, but I imagine like if she would have a husband, it would be like something similar personality-wise to Baptiste, because Baptiste in my world would be very comfortable with having like someone way more masculine and way more like stronger, but he would still take care of them and he wouldn't be like emasculated by it.
Yeah.
And like that's what I'm getting the vibe from Baptiste. It wouldn't necessarily mean like I ship them with Baptiste because I don't do that. But I think like in that direction of personality, I think that would
just someone with
fit
a
her
kind
really
of
well.
caring nature
Also like
who-
someone who kind of just balances her out a bit. Because she's like very, I want to do this. I want to like maybe someone telling her, hey, it's okay to rest for a bit. Like you've done so much, because I feel like Zarya as a character is she's very like she wants to do things immediately when she knows about something, and like she's very like, I mean, she joined Overwatch quite recently again too, and she is like kind of the person to me that's like she wants to do things immediately and wants to get things done, but she's kind of impatient while doing that because she's very like I want to.
Yeah, I
things
can
to be
imagine her
better.
She's not
being,
impatient,
there is an
she's not-
injustice. I will fix it
Yeah.
now. I
No,
will
she
fix
just
it
kind of
now.
gets on with things, you know. She's like better than most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can't wait forever for others, you know.
That takes forever. I just do it myself.
I'll just do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Which is
Or like
the thing,
having someone to like balance her out, that would be so cute.
Often
I mean-
it happens, doesn't it? Tell me, what characteristics do you guys like about Zarya?
I don't know. Honestly, I think like that she's more blunt, because a lot of times bluntness in women is seen as something bad, as something, oh, you're nagging or you're being overly critical. But she's just so unapologetically blunt in her way that is just so refreshing to see. Because so many women are just like portrayed as this like, oh, it's so cute, so submissive, so and there always have to be
Speak when
this
spoken to.
exactly so sweet, so soft spoken, and that's honestly that's annoying, but also that's just something that's not the reality. Because sometimes you just want to put your foot down, speak the truth, and address something that's bothering you, and not being taken seriously is sad reality for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And having someone like that's like just doesn't even think about it, that just says things, what she means, is just very refreshing, and I think also very inspiring.
Yeah.
See, I mean, interestingly, you know, how I started this documentary is during COVID. You know, we did various talks with Overwatch actors, and then after one of these talks, I was invited to speak to female gamers of Brazil, and I said, like, why me? She said, oh, because you're the strongest woman in the world. I said, okay, and no, but because you know, the female gamers are facing increasing toxicity and so on. So then I spoke to them, and I realized how important characters like Zarya are to certain gamers, to kind of maybe this sense of bluntness, directness, mental strength, you know, not just physical strength,
Yeah.
kind of gets you through. And how toxic the environment can be as well. I mean, I know lots of things are being done about it, but is it still sort of very, in your experience?
I mean, especially in the gaming sector. I mean, we've been talking about stereotypes in women, but like how people get treated in the gaming industry and as gamers still is just, I would say,
It's not great. No.
volatile
I mean,
sometimes.
yeah, my personal experience, you know, I am somebody who will not go on voice chat with strangers
Me too.
because of the potential for toxicity. I know that all I need to do is speak, and I will be immediately identified as a woman. And although that's not a problem for everyone, it only takes a few. And then, like, your whole day is ruined, right? But there are still a fair few people in the space who will be overly critical. You know, like, there's still this, like, stereotype, if you will, of, like, the Mercy main who isn't a real gamer. Like, you're just playing Mercy because she's pretty and it's easy.
Yes,
You're not playing Mercy because you enjoy video games. You can't enjoy video games. You're a woman. And it's like, maybe I just want to have wings. Like, maybe I enjoy healing, like, in other video games that I do play. Thank you very much. Maybe I like the fact that she's really sassy, you know?
Yeah. No, of course.
But there is still this stereotype, and, like, even in other games as well. So another example is I like to play Warframe, which is, you know, space, fighting, robots, guns, etc. But it's similarly to Overwatch. It's very much like kind of character based. So, like, oh, we're releasing a new Warframe, which is essentially, here is a new, like, kit that you can try and play and main. But with the name Hana, I will get more friend requests from more random people than anyone else I play with who has either a male or gender neutral name. I will just get random friend requests and random people messaging me. And it's not always with the nicest of intentions. And that is just from being a woman in the space.
That can even happen in games you don't really expect them to, because like, I've been playing Genshin Impact for a while, just like on and off. And there is a feature that you can join into people's worlds, and you can farm with them or just chat with them quickly. Usually you have someone higher level, maybe join your world. They help you with a boss or two. Then you say thank you, and maybe like post a little cute picture, and then you say goodbye. That's usually how it goes. But with a more feminine username, what I made the experiences with is usually people will join my world just kind of standing there, trying to flirt or do anything, and I just end up have to kick them out. Either if they get rude or they won't leave me alone. Not because, like, hey, I put something special in my biography or anything, just because I have a more feminine name with like Frozen Unicorn is what like the unicorns people usually
assume you are female.
Yeah. And
therefore you are free game.
I don't know why, I always have this underlying expectation of, okay, maybe in a shooter game and more male dominated games that might happen. But it kind of shocked me that it even happened in games like Genshin Impact, which, like, in retrospect, okay, but I didn't really expect it. It wasn't really something that like popped into my mind, because it also just didn't happen often. But at some point it happened often enough that I just I didn't accept people into my world anymore. That I was like abstaining from the fun I had before just because of instances like that.
So but it's interesting to me because almost half of the gamers are women, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if, like, say, one speaks out in a game, maybe the other will have the strength to speak up, or not. What do you?
The thing is, I usually play with friends, like Overwatch or other maybe shooter games. And even in Overwatch, when I played with a good friend of mine, we like sometimes just chatted. And when like sometimes they will praise you like, hey, that was a good game or like a good play. Once they figure out you're a woman or you're multiple women, they start harassing you. It didn't happen as much in Overwatch as in other games. Overwatch is in that regard pretty tame. From what I've experienced, but even in Overwatch, people will start telling you, oh, you're doing dog shit on this character, go play something else or stop playing games, even though they praised you for your plays before.
And then as soon as they find out you're female, it's like...
Yeah. And for that, you don't even have to like talk in chat at some point, like if something just ticks them off that you may be feminine or woman, they just start ranting on you.
Yeah, suddenly it becomes an insult.
Yeah.
How long you've been playing, both? How long you've been playing? Because I just wonder, have things changed over time? Was it
I started in the pandemic, actually. I started in 2020. A friend of mine actually gifted me the game Overwatch. I noticed it before, I've been aware of it, but I didn't have the means to play it because I didn't own a PC by then. I was still in school. I was just doing like college and everything. And like during the pandemic, I didn't have anything better to do, and the friend gifted me the game, so we started playing. So I didn't have a lot of in-game voice chat experiences then because I just played with my friends. But like later, I sometimes joined the chats, and of course, I wasn't really good at it because it was my first shooter game I've ever played.
Yeah.
I didn't play before because I couldn't. I didn't have the laptop or the PC for it. But like when you're not quite good at the game, even if you're not like showing like, hey, I'm a man or a woman, people will flame you for it. But it's kind of worse when you're bad at a game and a woman. Because some like I've experienced like if they think you're a man, people will sometimes type, hey, next game will go better or something like that. But the same people will insult a woman for being bad at a video game because there's nothing wrong about being bad at video games. It's fine as long as you have fun. But some people may take it seriously or take it personally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been playing since 2016. I started playing. I started playing during the first Halloween event. And I remember because I so desperately fell in love with that Witch Mercy skin so fast.
So what brought you to the game?
It was this idea. I remember going into my local video game shop. We have a store over here, very imaginatively named. It's just called Game. For those people who are outside the UK. So I went into Game and they had it advertised, and I really liked the idea that even though it was a shooter, it had these other aspects, and that it seemed to be very character-based and very story-based, and I really liked that concept. And I was like, oh, there's like a monkey scientist and an angel lady and like your typical white man soldier who later turned out to be gay, which was great. But at the time, I was just really interested because it didn't look like your typical shooter. It looked like this kind of sort of fantasy shooter crossover. So I gave it a go and I really enjoyed it. It's not a problem that is specific to Overwatch, fortunately and unfortunately. You know, I'm glad Overwatch isn't the problem, but I don't like it that it's everywhere. Unfortunately, harassment in video games is just a thing that I have always received.
Women still play, huh? Interesting.
But we still play because we still enjoy it.
Yeah.
You can't take that from us.
Yeah. Screw you. You can't take the fun away from us.
No, I'll just not listen to you. I'll just mute you. It's fine. But yeah, I played my first like MMO when I was like 10 or something. And it was the same then. Like you'd have people coming up and flirting with you just because you're a female character. Like, didn't matter that I was like 10 years old.
Do you look for female characters when you play?
I tend to, yes, because I like that expression. So I tend to lean towards female characters, I think, because like there is that sort of that representation and that link that I can immediately identify with. Doesn't stop me playing male characters. I will just tend to like if I don't know anything, if there are like 5 different characters to choose from and I don't know anything about any of them, I will probably veer towards a female character first. But yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Did you play any video games, or like what was the first video game you started playing, Dolya?
Tetris.
Oh, beautiful.
No, of course I tried Zarya on a few occasions. I think she's hard to play.
She is.
She
Especially
is.
for someone who is not very skilled at gaming, So I prefer to give her life. I prefer to voice her. But no, I think I need to conquer her, and then maybe it'll be quite funny. It'll be funny, don't you think? If I go into a kind of I play among strangers. Suddenly, I reveal my voice.
That's how
I am Zarya. Thank you very much.
It sounds like you just should join us sometimes when we play.
Let's
absolutely.
see if Toxicity happens then. Maybe we should do some sort of a campaign like that. The kind of you never know when Zarya will appear.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Zarya.
With a huge gun.
Badmouth Zarya, her huge gun will appear. Badmouth any women, the huge gun will appear. Yes, I am threatening you with a crochet hook.
That'd be funny.
It's funny because I was maining tanks when I first started playing the game. I was like an avid, and I tried every tank thoroughly, and I just couldn't get the hang of Zarya. I just could she's so hard to play. She's super strong and useful, but I just couldn't get the hang of her. And I started trying more different characters out recently because at some point I ventured off into Ana. I love my old woman. She's so sassy. She's amazing.
Gotta love sass.
Yeah. She's also a very strong woman in a different way.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they all are. I love them all.
Yeah. But I don't know, I've tried playing more tank recently, and I tried to play some Zarya, and I find myself gotten better at it just because I've played this game for longer, but she will still remain a mystery to me.
I haven't played Zarya really since Overwatch 2, so I haven't played her as the solo tank. I used to play her a fair bit as an off tank, but she's also sort of had some rework since then, and obviously the makeup of the game has had a little bit of a rework.
I think some devoted Zarya players miss the mate, miss the friend.
Yeah.
Which is it's interesting. Who knows how it might develop as well. But any characters that changed your life or that have impacted your life?
I have to think about that one.
I do remember watching when we got that really nice animated short for Diva. That hit me on an emotional level that I was not prepared for. Because, this idea of somebody going through so much and struggling so much and having so much on her shoulders and still pushing through and still pushing forward. And, having the strength to keep going was just, oh my goodness. She is not just, cutesy streamer girl. She is somebody with all these deep emotions and troubles, and she faces this difficulty every day, and she's like, it's fine. I do it because I have to, but also because it's the right thing to do. And it just, it really hit me. That kind of, I have all this weight to carry, and I'm still pushing forward. It's
interesting. I mean, these sorts of things make me think that almost like we need certain heroes. We need certain imagery out there that will give us support. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know if it's more a video game character, but I'm gonna stray a bit off here now.
Go for it.
But I loved to read when I was younger, 14 or something, and I started reading the Percy Jackson series, which is basically a series about children of Greek gods, and they're basically sent off the gods to fight for them in wars. And I mean, they're 14, 15, they're really young. And I don't know, they had one character. Her name is Annabeth, and she is the daughter of Athena, the like goddess of not war but war strategy, and the goddess of wisdom.
Zarya.
Yeah, and like and the goddess of wisdom, and like having Annabeth in this book, and like the male protagonist was kind of like more on the not stupid but clueless side, and having her be the brain of the operation, having her be the person that everyone always turned to for advice, always turned to for if they needed a plan, and having her just be this strong character where even like male elders, like grown-ups, respected her even though her young age, really inspired me when I grew up. It was really something that I strive towards, that I wanted to be like her. So, like, especially think growing up, like having characters like that to give you the confidence, because I wasn't confident at all as a child, but like to show you another way if maybe your parents can't. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all need a goddess of Athens behind.
Exactly.
We do.
That's beautiful. We might need Zarya to say that to us.
It's true, isn't it? The kind of. I mean, probably those images, exist there for centuries for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you? Sorry. I feel like I'm asking you questions all the time.
No, go for it. It's fine.
If you're curious, please ask.
This is your space to talk as much as it is ours.
Definitely, yeah.
What would you like to see in a film about female gamers?
In a film?
What issues do you think are important to be raised?
Maybe something of, the gaming industry as it started out was very much a space that men just built for themselves, that they populated because women didn't really have the choice or the opportunity to have hobbies like that. Because especially back then when everything originated, it was still very traditional, very, woman has to care for childbearing, household. So women just didn't have the time or the opportunity to be able to establish hobbies like that, or to establish things like that they enjoyed. And it's crazy about the pushback. Yeah, it's interesting, like the pushback.
Because women don't have free time.
Yeah.
To do something for someone.
Yeah, but once we got the opportunity and a lot of women found themselves, hey, I like these stories, I like these things, and like they started enjoying them and started playing them for video games, D&D, tabletop, anything. Yeah. And there's just, we've seen a huge shift of player base, of course. Like over the years, it just went up of how many women play video games. And of course, a lot of big gaming industries have caught on that they have an entirely new demographic to cater to.
Yeah.
But kind of I don't know, maybe a bit of the story of the pushback of how it started with the gaming industry is just a very, very male dominated, very catered to male taste space. So it's not only slowly taken over, but that we literally had to fight for our space in that community.
Yeah.
Because it
still happens in esports, but
Yeah. I can talk about that in a bit. But no matter what we want as our demographic as women, we kind of have to fight for our right to be there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad that it is, but it is we kind of have to, because they gatekeep just as much as I don't really know how to say that, but the gatekeeping is real.
It is, crazy. Yeah. And again, it's not everyone that does it, so please don't get your underwear in a twist. But there are definitely some very vocal people who will defend the space from women, like we are going to somehow infect it with our boobs. No.
Too much estrogen. Ooh.
Too much estrogen. No. Suddenly, my gun are going to shoot flowers, and you still get to shoot.
I mean, have you ever played like a video game that's more maybe traditionally catered to like the male experience?
Mm-hmm. But more women are creating games now.
Yeah, they are.
And is it reflected in characters? What do you think?
Definitely.
I think so. Yeah. Like, growing up, I don't think we would have had a game like Horizon Zero Dawn when I was younger, with a amazing, wonderful, beautiful, strong, fantastic female main character who is the only character you can play. Like, very often in games, and I think it's still the majority where, you know, they're like, we're going to tell a story, and we're going to tell the story of this man. And you're like, that's great. I'm sure the rest of the story in the game is good. And, you know, you can still enjoy the game, but it's like a lot of, we're going to tell the story of this man in very narrative-driven games. So it's really nice to either have the choice between male and female and other, or to just have a game that is like, unapologetically, you are playing as a woman and you are going to like it or lump it. I don't really remember many games like that when I was younger.
Well, The Last of Us 2 is another one that's like, I mean, you like in the first one, you start out playing the man, but it kind of ties into you taking over, playing a girl that grows into a woman in the zombie apocalypse. And like the second part is just so, it's like, I won't spoil anything, but like the story and everything is amazing. It's like fully fleshed out. You have also like a female antagonist, like the main antagonist is also female. So they like strove away from, oh, this man is bad, this man is like self-righteous, and they try to do things. But you have like this very complicated and intriguing story that's just happens to feature like two women as like the main plots.
And the other thing, series? The Last of Us. Something that did happen with The Last of Us 2, as the antagonist, she got a lot of dislike from people before they'd even played the game.
Really?
Yeah. But there were also a lot of comments about the fact that she was a muscular woman. Like this character is a muscular woman. Is she even a real woman? Like, yes. Shut up.
First of all, yes. And second of all, she is part of a military base in the zombie apocalypse.
She's like a military woman. That's why she has muscles. It makes sense. But like,
muscles
I
can
don't
be feminine too.
Exactly.
But I think because they were frustrated at the actions of her character, they then attacked her femininity because it was something to attack. And it did get to the point where the voice actress was like receiving death threats and things as well. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. So that might be an interesting thing to look into if you weren't aware of it.
So she was getting death threats.
Yeah, for
the
voicing
actions of her character.
For voicing a muscular woman. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, even if you know the story, and like I know the story because of like my very best friend played this game like 3 or 4 times because it's so good. And I haven't played it myself, but I know enough. And like this, like if you play from the main character's side, you kind of understand her, but at some point you get to play the antagonist. You get to play her. You get to play as the antagonist, and you live through her story. And I can, like, with full confidence, I can say I like both of them. They both have flaws, but I know they both acted like in the best interest of what they had in mind. They both acted because they thought it was best for everybody.
So you get,
and I can't get mad at that because
you
it's
get
just
to the end of the game, and it's like it kind of turns the concept of good and bad on its head, and it points out that it's all about perspective. Yeah. You know, what is right to one person is a grievous wrong to someone else. But it was the fact that I do wonder, had the character Abby been male, would she have received so much hate?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And did you watch the series?
I've not watched the TV series.
I didn't. Yeah.
I've watched somebody play through both games, and like,
I just wonder how different it is. Yeah,
I heard it was very accurate. Like, I've seen side-to-side comparisons to the video games and the series, and they sometimes took like 1-to-1 shots from the game and reenacted it in the series. So, like, I've only heard positive things about it.
But I'm also assuming there are some things that you have to change because it's a different medium. So,
oh, interesting. It's the I haven't had any attached versions.
If anyone does, I'll come at them with a crochet hook.
I think my gun is too scary.
Good.
I can pull out the gun. So we kind of crossed the topic of esports earlier, and I kind of want to pick that up again.
So this kind of, again, comes into the sort of topic of gaming being a very male, or definitely starting out as very male-centric without a lot of space for women. Over the last couple of years, I personally have noticed a fair amount of discourse on the topic, with the concept of women playing video games professionally. There seems to be this gross argument that women aren't featured in esports teams because they just aren't as good as video games. They're not included in esports teams because they're not good. I find this concept baffling, that half the population just happens to be terrible at video games just because they have estrogen, right? I find this insane as a concept. And like, there have been a number of arguments around it. Some people have said it is because it is not encouraged. Like, yes, there is a skill gap, but it is because women are not encouraged to play video games in the same way. You know, like, you don't have the same, like, if a boy comes home after school and jumps on the video game console, it's typical boy. And if a girl does that, then there's something wrong. There's something socially wrong with her. And so some people argue that that's why there aren't many women in esports, because it's just not encouraged in the same way, which I think is reasonable. And there's also this thing of, hi, can we have women-only esports tournaments to help encourage women to get into the space? And then you see people complaining, oh, well, there aren't men-only esports spaces. That's because they mostly are, thank you.
What do you think of Geguri? I mean, was she bullied out of the league, essentially?
I don't know.
We don't know.
But I think it was very telling that there was only one female in the entirety of the Overwatch League.
Yeah. But well, what can we say about that?
Yeah.
I mean, even in the games, I can't imagine, like, I would love either to be, maybe a few fully female esports teams, or, even some mixed ones, but...
But, I see every time someone tries to set one up, there is always this discourse.
And even that, I think, that discourse, or, it discourages women to try this, or,
exactly.
This whole prejudice about, women are bad at video games, kind of, also just disencourages some for even trying to, form esports events, or, try to participate in esport, because... I don't know how it is if you try to apply to something or a team or anything like that, but I can imagine some teams will turn you down if they see that you're a woman.
And as somebody who won't go on voice on something like Overwatch for fear of, judgment and whatever, I don't exactly want to like apply to join a sports team and not know who my 4 potentially male teammates are going to be and not know how they're going to feel towards me. That is intimidating to me. You know, like if it was a case of if I was good enough to play professionally, I would want to pick and choose my team from people I knew because I would feel safe with them. I wouldn't want to join a team and have a manager pick my teammates because then I don't know if I'm going to get on with them. I don't know how they're going to feel about women in gaming because it is a risk.
I mean, I know it's very difficult to judge how much time average female gamer spends gaming and how much time average male gamer spends gaming. I was told also that maybe many female gamers kind of, because it's not traditionally kind of accepted, it's not a girly thing to do.
No.
They don't develop the skills further, or they kind of hide about it, or they don't, I don't know. What do you think about that? Or they play a certain time in their life and they stop because of other...
Yeah, for me, it was very much encouraged. I had a parent who enjoyed video games, and ultimately, they would rather I was at home playing video games than out on the street doing drugs. So they didn't mind that I stayed indoors and played games, but my grandmother, on the other hand, thought it was very bad for me. She didn't like it at all. So I couldn't really like talk about it around her very much. You know what it's like as a kid, you just want to talk about your interests and to anyone who will listen. But I had to learn to not mention it around her because she thought it was bad for me as a girl playing computer games, that maybe it would like rot my mind or stop me from developing social skills that I would need as a woman. She was very old-fashioned, very useless.
Maybe I'm a bit of an exception, but both of my parents were gamers. Like both of them, like very like adamantly played World of Warcraft, and my mother at some point when like we were born kind of stopped, and even up until this day she doesn't really play any games other like maybe some like Heyday on her phone or anything else. But like my dad and my mother really like encouraged me to try. Like I played with my mother's Game Boy, like Legend of Zelda when I was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
I started playing Legend of Zelda, and like they bought me my first like Wii console, and I played with them, and I like played with my father. I played like Mario Kart. So like they were always very encouraging of like trying this. And that's kind of how I got into this. Like my dad, like even today, like he helped me build my first PC by myself because I really, really wanted to try it, but I didn't know how to approach it. So like he sat down with me and went through everything, and he actually like let me do everything by myself because he knew like I could do it, but I could still like turn for him for questions, or if I wanted help, I could still ask him for it. So I think I'm in a very privileged position as a woman, because I know not a lot of girls or women like had that kind of support surrounding like, hey, it's okay for you to play video games, it's okay for you to enjoy. And I like I saw this toxic side of it very late, which I call myself lucky for it, and I just hope that I can give that to as many like women or girls growing up as I can, because it would be so nice for them to like just grow up kind of ignorant of the toxicity, because that's kind of a privilege that I was granted, and maybe just have them explore themselves what games they like, and
the gaming, exploring. I find there's a lot of these characters and everything. There's a kind of an element of identification that people enjoy seeing, but also sort of identity exploration as well. Do you think so?
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, like you see, like of course you see different characters or how people act on a day-to-day basis, but you get exposed to it in video games at like a very different rate and in very different dosages, because you will be pulled towards personalities that you find nice to talk to and captivating, or that you generally like. And some people will even kind of adapt habits of their favorite characters and kind of like adapt some mannerisms, maybe some speech or anything like that.
Just like,
Are there any people in Germany walking around with a strong Russian accent?
I mean, like sometimes people like will make like a Russian accent a bit for fun, but
For fun.
I mean, like that kind of, I don't know, like sometimes games like that, especially Overwatch, kind of puts things on the map that people weren't really aware of before. I mean, it's crazy to me to see a German guy in a game that's not the bad guy. Because usually in games, when you see German people, it's usually always the bad guys.
Yeah.
And
it's
and it's kind of crazy to see this like big armored hero with a hammer in its hand who's
who
all
is
about
an
like
absolute sweetheart, really.
Yeah, who's like adorable and who's like all about honor and glory. It was so refreshing to see like just Germany, or like the identity of like German to be represented like that. Because I mean, it's kind of the same with Russians or like people like that with Zarya. It's kind of like the same. Like Russian people were mostly like portrayed as the bad guys in like movies or media and anything. But like kind of like the duel with like Reinhardt and Zarya, they are
it's
fighting
all about
for
justice.
It's all about doing the right
justice.
thing.
It's about fighting against corruption, about doing what's right. So I think that kind of representation, even if you don't initially know it or initially like notice it, it's very, very important.
It's refreshing, I think, because we get oppressed by usual repetition of the same images, isn't it? In some
Definitely.
ways,
and if that is all you are ever exposed to, you are more likely to believe it, and then it is perpetuated further. It's the same with all media, like TV shows, books, video games. It's why representation and diversity is so important. You know, it educates and it makes people feel less alone.
And like to hear different accents, languages in games. Like I love the voice lines that are in the native languages in Overwatch so much.
I know.
Because it also just gives that flavor of this is what a language can sound like when you say it like that. This is kind of what a language, it's like it just spreads more diversity. I mean, I can only talk for my part, but a lot of people say German sounds very aggressive and angry.
Yes.
Not to be mean to you, but that's probably because you only watch World War II movies about it. That's not because German is actually an aggressive language.
I like German. It's
But like that you have these voice lines and these mannerisms of like the accent in the game is just like so interesting. Also to like explore languages maybe we've never had really like a touch with before. Like we have so many different kinds of Spanish in Overwatch right now. Like different accents and kinds. We have like Peruvian, we have Mexican, and it's so interesting to hear like the differences in the voices, in the accents, because even though it is kind of like it is Spanish still, it's a different kind of Spanish, which makes it so intriguing, because I think before I couldn't really have told the difference between those. It would have just been Spanish to me. But if you hear them more often, if you're exposed to them, it's like exposure is important. If you're exposed to it more often, you start hearing the differences. You start also like just accepting it as normal, because a lot of people, I think, are afraid of something or are mean because they just aren't exposed to it that often. And I think that also just goes for male gamers who are just maybe not exposed to female gamers or to women in gaming that often.
My feeling as well is, and I have a young son who games, and I can see, that, he makes a fun of a joke. He doesn't take it seriously. Like, let's say the kitchen thing. It's like, go back to the kitchen. For him, he's not a serious attempt. He thinks it's funny, but actually, that meme kind of almost one needs to explain to you, no, this needs to stop. It's not that funny, actually. What I want to say is I think sometimes people don't do it with bad intentions, but because it's become such a part of the culture, it's very oppressive, and I don't know, am I making sense?
They don't realize how bad it is, and I find it sad that especially like young kids get exposed to that kind of talk.
Yeah.
Because if they grow up with it, they start thinking that's normal, and it's not.
And it's acceptable, and it's okay.
I have someone I've been working with for this documentary, and she says, "Yeah, when they say go back to the kitchen, I say to them, there are knives in the kitchen."
I mean, written response is always amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's funny, isn't it?
I might save that one for Overwatch
There should
text
be
chat.
another meme. There are knives in the kitchen.
There are knives in the kitchen.
I can go back to the kitchen if you want me near a knife.
I have multiple knives. I can even wash them afterwards.
The thing is the sandwich joke. I mean, like, why sandwich? I can make something much more elaborate.
I think
a sandwich is all you want. I mean,
it's kind of like the innuendo of that. Probably like you belong into the kitchen. You are meant to serve me.
It's that thing of
kind
I
of
want
vibe.
you to do something for me. Get back to your role.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about so many games. Where Dolya, do you have like a favorite game of the games you played so far? Maybe multiple?
Well, you see, I have to. Obviously, my favorite game is Overwatch.
Obviously,
because Zarya really changed my life in some ways. She opened up a whole new world to me, and then here I am now even doing a documentary about it. I mean, but from my childhood, because I think we all remember childhood things. Definitely was Tetris. I was a little bit obsessed with it. I mean, maybe because I also played chess. I don't know. So those kind of logical things, quick logical things. But character, obviously, I love the idea of character, and I think it's so important, and I think probably that's why a game like Overwatch is so successful, because it has these larger-than-life characters that really capture people's imaginations, Yeah. And you guys, is it Overwatch or not?
Yeah. Hana.
It is definitely up there as one of my favorites. We've got the social aspect. It's brought so many people together. But for me, one of my favorite things about video games is essentially that aspect of like interactive storytelling, where you can feel like you are a part of the story. It's the same reason I like tabletop games so much. But yeah, I think for me, that's why I love video games so much, is because I just like the creativity in it, and I like exploring narratives and other people's stories, and I
think I definitely have to say too that I don't think I would have ever tried a game like Overwatch on my own, because I was very adamant about, I don't know if I like shooters. I don't know if that's something for me. I was always very reserved, also part because of that toxicity that I knew from them. And I mean, I kind of got coerced into playing it, and I'm still really glad I did, because like it just changed my whole life. Like I don't even be here today right now if that person wouldn't have gifted me the game. And the amount of friends that I found over the game, the amount of amazing experiences I've had, the amount of people I met in real life that I got to know over this community or over the game is just baffling to me. And it's crazy that one game can do so much positive things.
I know.
And I think I really have to say Overwatch, because no game has changed my life so much to the better than another one.
Do you think it's the community at the center of it? It's just
definitely
the community.
No, it's definitely the community aspect. I think the heart of the community is also what's drove me to enjoy the game so much. You'd have to like little cute interactions in the middle of the game where just like suddenly everyone decided to stop fighting each other and just hung out on payload or jumped off a cliff together and like did some fun stuff. As like that Overwatch that I still love so very dearly and so much.
Yeah. I know we've said a lot of things that we don't like about, the gaming community, but Overwatch, I think, is definitely one of those communities that is better than most. And it really does have a majority good community to it.
What I'm exploring in the film is essentially, the kind of the positive aspects of how a character can impact life and how a character can be a force of maybe change or, and of course I'm aware of the community aspect, which is so, so important. So, do follow its development. Yeah.
We will. Absolutely, we will.
Definitely. And we'll be really excited when it comes out. I will definitely be watching it. And I think we can kind of wrap it up. Yeah. So, that was it. First of all, I want to thank our Patreons. You guys are legends. And you can join the Omnic family over on patreon.com/theomnicpost. Our Patreons can watch us record the podcast live and get early access to the audio version. On top of other fun rewards like stickers, pins, and more. And we have amazing stickers that Dee's making. Like this one, this very cute.
Look at it. Look at it.
This very cute one here. Follow the Omnic Post on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram for all your updates on Overwatch. And subscribe to the podcast on whatever channel you're listening or watching to this episode. Also, very important, check out today's guests and cast. Dolya, where can people find you?
Sorry, what did you
Where can people find you? Where can they find you?
You can find me on on socials, Instagram DOLYA 3_, or Twitter DOLY and then GAVANSKI. I forgot originally when I made the account to put A after my name, and then it just
lives there. Yeah,
it just lives there.
And if you have any stories regarding Zarya or anything, please DM her. She's filming a documentary right now.
Or you can email me even on zaryastories@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Ooh, fabulous.
Our character has changed your life.
Yeah, we will link to that in descriptions and things when the episode goes live. So do not worry if you do not have a pen to hand.
Yeah, Hana, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter @PlushNoodle. Yay!
And you can find me on @FrozenUnicorn on Twitter and Instagram, and the first O is 0. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It was so much fun. And see you next time.
Thanks.
See you next time. Bye-bye. Bye.